Social media has been abuzz with all things elections recently. Political parties and their supporters have been using this platform to campaign for Wednesday's elections. The question, though, is how effective is social media in election campaigns? Let's also not forget that the Oscar Pistorius trial resumes today, as we've just reported. Are people as interested in that case as they are in the elections? Let's find out more. And joining us in the studio is social media expert Tebogo Ditshego, who is also the CEO of Ditshego Holdings. Tebogo, thank you very much for coming in on this Monday morning.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
We've seen lots of political parties, and some of them who we've spoken to before today here on ENCA were telling us that they are now engaging young people on social media, which in the previous election, I think there was less of that. I mean, or you think of a political party, the main ones, you know, they were there. And some of the leaders have Twitter handles, and they've been tweeting. How effective has it been, you think?
I think it's been very effective, and I think we need to congratulate political parties in South Africa and generally our Twitter masses, because if you look at the EFF rally and the ANC rally, they're trending worldwide. They've been trending since yesterday, and it shows the kind of clout and influence that young South Africans are having. And I think it's very important for us to utilize social media in South Africa.
When you talk about Twitter masses, I'm thinking of these, you know, millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
But in South Africa itself, the Twitter universe is not that big. However, if you engage in the Twitter universe, as you say, you get to trend globally.
Well, I disagree with that, because if you look at the previous elections, the African National Congress had just over 10 million votes. Now, South Africa has 9.4 million Facebook users who are active and 5.5 million Twitter users. And in 2012, it was 2.4 million Twitter users. So it actually does have a huge impact in the election.
Does social media spread across the different income segments? I mean, from the low entry level right across to the middle class and the upper levels of our society?
Well, you'll see a higher penetration within the middle class, but South Africa's cell phone penetration rate is very high. Now, if you look at how users access social media in South Africa, 87% of users access it, Facebook, through their mobile platforms. Now, 85% of South Africans access Twitter through their mobile platforms. So a lot of people have mobile phones, and it's very affordable. So you will get the lower sections in terms of economic situation in South Africa using Twitter, but it's not going to get to the grassroots level where you really want to go in terms of door-to-door campaigning.
Yeah, if you look at the strategies that have been used by the different parties, some of them have gone just with a simple broadcast strategy where they just inform this is coming up. Some of them have gone for interaction, which is a more useful strategy.
Well, interaction is more useful, and I think that if you look at communications, you don't want to have only top to bottom communications. You also want to have bottom to top communications, and that is where you interact. Now, in terms of the negatives of social media and how political parties have been interacting, I think that they failed in terms of interacting with their users, where they seek clarity about their manifestos or the credibility of their leaders. So it's very important for political parties to interact, and also even corporates to interact with their users.
Yeah, so it must be a live thing. You must have people there all the time, literally 24/7, checking what's happening and being able to respond rather than just do it in bursts or spurts.
Yes, and that's the beauty of social media. And what I also like about social media is that you're able to also track public sentiment. So you can see what is trending in the world, what do people think about it.
But is that public sentiment a true reflection of what's really happening generally, or is it a true reflection of what's happening, for instance, in the middle class segment?
It will be more representative of what is happening in the middle class. You are absolutely correct. Now, in terms of that public sentiment of the middle class, you will be able to see it on social media and how people feel about certain issues.
Yeah, okay. Now we've got 48 hours to go before the elections. No more electioneering or campaigning happening. I guess on social media we're going to see a bit of a lull from the political parties because they have to abide by the rules that have been set in terms of the Electoral Act. However, us as public, us as voters, can still engage in this media and in the social media space.
And that's the loophole. And if you look at the interaction, they don't just interact with the political parties. They actually interact with what is trending, the trending topics. So you could find that there are only 80,000 followers of EFF, but they've got more than 200,000 people who are talking about or interacting about the various political parties.
Okay, politics is serious business. Voting is serious business in South Africa 20 years into our freedom here. However, these parties, they take their serious business. They are brands at the end of the day. As we finish, I want to put you on the spot. You look at those who've been engaging in the social media space. Who's done well? Who's done very well in your view? Look at just from a brand perspective. Brand presence in the social media space?
Well, it is reflective of how the elections are going to pan out. And the number one has been ANC, number two has been Democratic Alliance, and number three has been EFF. But the EFF has done very well because they are a new political party. But they haven't had as much interaction as the ANC and as the Democratic Alliance.
Okay, thank you very much. The social media expert, Tebogo Ditshego, who's also CEO of Ditshego Holdings.